a person is getting interested in you, the person throws a little spotlight on you, oh, can we go out? They just vanish. You find that a person is not there, doesn't want to talk to anybody, but the person is working okay, going to school, doing well socially, but interpersonally, the person has cut off everyone. You're afraid when people are getting close to you. Sometimes people, out of anxiety, even self-sabotage. So you call them and they go like, let me not answer and see if he will call again. If he really cares, he's going to call. What kind of dynamic is that? We spend years of our lives not recognizing that we've been seeking what we cannot get. If we want to deal with everything before we get married, then we are not going to get married anytime soon. Hi everyone, you're welcome to Unfiltered Psyche once again. And today we're going to talk about something a bit controversial. I'll lay all my things on the table and then I hope we can have a meaningful conversation. I just want to say that this conversation is strictly rooted on mental health. It has nothing to do with spirituality. It has nothing to do with like peculiar situations. Okay, so today I want to talk about the mental or the psychological reasons why people sometimes get delayed in terms of marriage. Okay, in my consulting room, I hear so many things about I'm not married yet. I wish I was married now, and all those things. And doing some research, examining the data and stuff like that from a clinical standpoint. I just want to share this, and I hope it is useful for anybody who really wants to get married and has suffered a lot of inconsistencies in the process. It's not too late. We can still find the right person if we do a few things. And I also pray that, like I said, there's a God side to this because there's sovereignty from God's side, and I don't want to underestimate that. So whatever I'm saying does not defy the sovereignty of God, and it also doesn't defy the uniqueness of each person's situations. I just want to share this information, and I hope we find it useful. So, having issued my disclaimer, I just want to go straight and mention a few things I have noticed examining clinical data about people or situations that sort of delay people in terms of marriage. And I hope we all find this useful. Now, so I find that there are peculiar situations. Sometimes people have to go to school, and because they have to go to school, they need to put relationships and marriage on hold because not everyone can juggle both at the same time. Again, sometimes it's just situations of not being matched to people. So there's also that, and then sometimes ill health could also be one of the things. But let's hold all of those peculiar situations constant, and let's deal with a generalized idea of the psychological reason why sometimes marriages or people may not get married very early. Now, from a clinical standpoint, the first thing I have come to realize is that a lot of people do not really know that they are not psychologically ready for marriage or for a meaningful relationship. Here, a meaningful relationship is a relationship that is healthy and could or does evolve into a marital relationship. That is what I consider a meaningful relationship. Now, a lot of people don't realize they are psychologically unready for such relationships. So one thing I've found is that people try to soothe their emotional, psychological, cognitive wounds through relationships. And how does this play out? So mostly somebody is a teenager, maybe goes to school and may not be getting a lot of mentorship, a lot of assistance, a lot of parental care, a lot of social support. The person doesn't have a wide range of social network. The person doesn't have counsel coming in from various angles. The person doesn't have a go-to person who stabilizes him or her. So you find that this person may tilt more towards relationships to provide the social support, to provide the emotional stability, to provide the sense of worth and all those things. And all these kinds of experiences, once the person is plunged into that kind of relationship, becomes their enemy. Okay, because there's no one relationship that can satisfy these needs of an individual. And so you find that people take off very early. They are dating multiple people. They date somebody and they date a person over a period of time and find out that the person is unable to meet that emotional need. And sometimes they even find that the person tries to meet the emotional need, but because they do not feel satisfied within themselves, they keep seeking more. And it becomes daunting for the other person who may be trying. So there's that. And then there's also the situation where people find themselves in very, very not obviously abusive, but chaotic relationships. So the first one is those who use their relationships to soothe their emotional needs. Now, with that type of relationship, you'd find that it's never satisfying. Like I said, it's never soothing, it's never enough, and then tensions heighten because you find that the other person, if the person is trying, then the person begins to feel frustrated because whatever they do is not enough. And it's not because they are not trying, it's just because this other person has an unmet emotional need that one person cannot satisfy. And sometimes we are totally oblivious of this. Totally oblivious. So we keep pushing the person, break up, come back, break up, come back. And sometimes that kind of relationship can fester for years, 4 years, 5 years. We break up, come back, break up, come back. And we don't realize that as we're breaking up and we're coming back, time keeps elapsing. We keep getting wounded, we keep getting troubled, we keep getting frustrated by the situation. And the more we stay in that kind of relationship, the more we want to make it work. And because sometimes we can't really point to what exactly is wrong with the other person, neither can we point to what exactly is going on with us. And so we tend to try to make it work, and that can span years. And the point is that there comes a time that after your teenage years, maybe you are in your early adulthood, this relationship spans a whole 6, 7 years, and now you don't know any other person. And so then you feel compelled to make this happen. Now the point is, it depends on the other person. Most of the time, the other person may also feel, okay, we've done this, so let's just get married and let's see what happens. Mostly, first few years of marriage, it breaks. Okay, we have a divorce. On the other hand, sometimes, right when we are getting close to the whole marriage preparation, everything becomes clear to us because at that time, people are involved. People are opening our eyes to our strange differences. We begin to see the reality of being married and we realize that I can't really do this. And then sometimes we go our separate ways. Other times you find that in the midst of it, you're talking to someone else to suit that need you've always wanted to meet. And so in your attempt to suit this other person, very soon your partner then finds out that, oh, you are cheating on them, you are doing this, you are emotionally cheating and all those, and that stifles the relationship. And when you are close to marry, the person says, then I can't marry you anymore, and they leave. So we eventually spend years of our lives not recognizing that we've been seeking what we cannot get. And what actually is happening to us is that we need to work on ourselves. We need to deal with ourselves. We need to soothe that thing that is within us that we seem to want from other persons. So that is one reason, that is one cause of delay in getting married. So that's one. Like I mentioned, the other one is staying in an abusive kind of relationship. And it also has its roots. So you find that sometimes people are in relationships where maybe they start off and they themselves may not realize what they want. So they don't know their personality, they don't know what makes them happy. So anything and everything goes. And this kind of situation makes people get into very messy relationships. So at some point, we date somebody, the person is abusive, we get out of it. It takes us 2, 3 years to heal, and then we go back to date a similar person. And one thing I keep hearing in my consulting room is, why do I keep attracting people like this? And the point is that sometimes it is just because there is a thing about the person's personality, there's a thing about the person's socialization, there's a thing about the person's development, and also social states that can make that person attract people like this. So, mind you, I have come to realize that people can tell who a vulnerable person is. Anybody who has mastered taking advantage of vulnerable people knows who a vulnerable person. And if as a person you don't know you are vulnerable, then anybody who has mastered taking advantage of vulnerable persons will spot you and use you. And eventually the same people can easily spot you and use you. So the point I'm making is that when you notice that once you start a relationship and it's chaotic, it's abusive, it is this, first of all, you can blame the person and say this person is like that. But go inside, do your internal work, because there's something you haven't dealt with that makes you vulnerable to people like this. It makes it easy for them to spot you. And you need to know what it is you do that makes it easy for people like that to spot you. And then we work around that so that that element of you is sort of taken care of. And then you can match or you can meet the right people and relate with them. So that can delay us, because if you're in one abusive relationship for a period of time, then it takes you 2 years to heal, and then you move into another one. It takes you another 3 years to heal. Before you know it, 10 years has elapsed and you may not be married. Now, the third one is that quite a number of people have perception, and this is crucial for people who do not sometimes get married early. So again, this is a psychological thing where people stay around certain people who have perception. They have their prejudices and stereotypes, and sometimes they force their prejudice and stereotypes on us. So you live with people who have a comment to say about every other woman. Why is she fair? Why does she wear this? There's a prejudice about every woman. That can wire you to be very critical of people. And so anybody who comes into your life, or this males, I'm talking about a male now, you're likely to be very critical. The least thing, oh, she cannot do this, she cannot do that, she didn't say this to my mom, she didn't call. And that can spiral into something. So anybody who comes your way, there's something the person doesn't match up to. Now, mind you, to marry, there are basics and there are things one must work on. So if we want to deal with everything before we get married, then we are not going to get married anytime soon. So the point is that be aware of the prejudice and the stereotypes. When you're around your family, when you're around your friends, your social network, look out for the prejudices. What are they saying about people? What are they saying about women? What are they saying about men? What are they saying about work? Because you could actually be a slave of your prejudice and your stereotypes, and that can keep you from getting married. It could be anything. It could be a cultural perspective. It could be educational background. It could be prejudice about work and money and stuff like that. Be mindful and recognize that this may actually be delaying you. What is the central thing I'm looking for? Once you find that, decide to work on the rest. And then finally, one thing which really, really delays us is sometimes our undiagnosed mental health situation. So I've also found that a lot of people never realize that they've been battling depression, or they've been battling anxiety, or they've been battling social anxiety, generalized whatever kind of anxiety over a period. So there are people who sometimes go into phases of depression, and within that phase they are withdrawn. People want to talk to them, they are not there. They are not there, they are just not there. And sometimes the interesting thing about these kinds of conditions is that you find the same person being very functional. So you find that the person is not there, doesn't want to talk to anybody, but the person is working okay. The person is going to school. So this person seems to be doing well socially, but interpersonally, the person has cut off everyone. And we don't realize that that is high functioning depression. So there are people who actually may be depressed and may put all their energy into work. There are people who have a positive kind of depression where they make everybody happy. They go back home and they cry. And those people can really not sustain relationships. Sometimes they cannot even engage anybody at a deeper level, because relationship requires a certain level of emotional agility, and they cannot do that. So undiagnosed mental health conditions can also impact. Some people also have serious social anxiety. So once you're at your home, nobody is coming to ask you out, and if you cannot go out, it becomes a problem. But there are people who cannot go out. There are people who will not attend any functions. They just feel socially awkward. They cannot start a conversation. They cannot maintain a conversation. Once a person is getting interested in you, the person throws a little spotlight on you. Oh, can we go out? They just vanish. All these things, sometimes we tend to think, oh, it's not my thing, oh, this is not bad. It may actually be something you need to investigate. Talk to your psychologist about it and get down to it if this is happening to you. So if you notice you are very, very maybe on the more highly functional depressive type, where you are out there, you are doing everything for everybody, but you are so shut in, or you don't like to interact with people, you are afraid when people are getting close to you. Sometimes people, out of anxiety, even self-sabotage. So you call them, you want to have a conversation with them, and they go like, let me not answer and see if he will call again, or if she will call, if she cares, or if he really cares, he's going to call. What kind of dynamic is that? That dynamic is what makes people go away. So then you begin to wonder, this guy says he likes me and he doesn't call me again. But when he called you once or twice, you wanted him to call 5 times for you to know that he really likes you. Very secured people who are securely attached, don't pester people. So once a person is not struggling with themselves as well, they're likely to leave you, and then you feel that nobody likes you, and then it drags your years of relationship. So these are some of the things which can impact our relationship. These are some of the things which can make our marriages never really come. Okay, and I pray that we become more aware of these things, particularly the mental health one. Once you notice you feel socially awkward, you don't like to talk to people, when you start talking to people, you pour everything into them. Talk to a psychologist. It is not necessary, or you may not necessarily get a diagnosis, because we cannot put everybody in a diagnostic criteria. It may just be a social thing we need to work on. But somehow, when you notice these things I'm talking about, talk to a professional, get it unpacked, and then work through it, so that you don't spend extra years being single when you truly want to be in a relationship. I hope this is useful as well, and we'll catch you in our next episode of Unfiltered Psyche. Thank you very much, and God bless you.